And we are back. Of course, you are watching Lusophonea here in Washington, D.C. with His Excellency Ambassador José Rocha, the Ambassador of Cape Verde. So let's talk a little bit about the culture of Cabo Verde. From music, dance, art, what would be, I guess, how can we put together that to show our audience what the culture of Cabo Verde is really composed of?
Thank you for this question. But before responding it, in order to understand the culture of Cabo Verde, you need to go back to understand the formation of the islands and the people of those islands.
Yes.
As I said before, Cape Verde was found by the Portuguese inhabited, not without population, better saying, during the 15th century somehow. And then we start the formation of the islands based upon the natural, very, very hard natural conditions, namely drought. But also, Cape Verde is a mixed society of Africans and European composition, which from the origin and till now, with a permanent melting, creates something new, the Creole nation of Cabo Verde. And this Creole nation, today, its population sounds to be about 1.5 million. But I can divide this figure in 3 equal parts. 500,000 Cape Verdeans living in the islands, 500,000 living in the United States, and 500,000 living elsewhere, mainly in Europe, but with some pockets in Africa and in South America. And the culture, the Cabo Verdean culture identity relies on this formation, historical formation of the country, of the people, and their common reference to the specifics of the islands. Our history of immigration is in our music. It is in our way of feeling ourselves. Food, typically from Cabo Verde, you can't identify Cape Verdeans doing it in the immigration. Cachupa, couscous, jagacida, and many others. The music, of course, we have the 2 traditional genres, which is morna, slow, and colonera, which is a kind of salsa or cumbia, and so on.
More danceable.
More danceable, yeah. That's it. But you have this common reference to these specifics, which identify a Cape Verdean when they find each other, be them in the United States, in Europe, in Africa, in South America, is the Cabo Verdean culture identity. And of course, with emigration and with the idiosyncrasy of the Cape Verdean being a traveler, going everywhere in the world, there are a lot of cultural influence. Cape Verdean music influence other music, and Cape Verdean music is being influenced by others. That's the case of Kizomba, for instance.
Yes.
Even I'm not expert on Kizomba, but I know the origin of Kizomba and how it came to be mixed with zouk, with coladeira, and there's a lot of melting in this, in the way of
the genre.
People from Angola do Kizomba, and people of Cape Verde do Kola Love and so on. This is another way to approach, because people from the Lusophone countries, they experience the same historical background, the same administrative background, the same language, Portuguese. And this is what makes them sharing something that are part of their historical, their life. And today we can have music making new bridge between or among all the Portuguese speaking people, namely those from Africa.
Now here in the United States, we also are starting to have the same good feeling about Kizomba. How do you think that can actually help the diaspora be the ambassador of Africa through Kizomba?
There's something that I must say differently, is the fact that we Cabo Verdeans, Angolans, people from Guinea-Bissau, Mozambique and other Portuguese-speaking countries, we do share a common historical background, a common administrative background, and something that is very important, the common land, which is the Portuguese language. Yes. Of course, today with the music, yes, we launch other bridges. And I do agree with you that music and culture is something that doesn't have borders, and they can have the strength of bringing people together in a very enjoyable moments and dancing, and this is something that can forge friendship and unity. Yes. And of course, I was in Belgium, in Netherlands, when the Kizomba came, and I used to dance it. Even as I said, and I repeat, I'm not an expert on that kind of music, right, but I can say that I'm an adept of old generation musicians from Cabo Verde, okay, like Bana, like Cesaria, yes, like Ilolob. Even I share also young generation, okay, Laura, yes, Mayra Andrade, and even Carmen Souza, who sings a very good jazz using Cape Verdean words, Cape Verdean stories, right, and one of the cities of Carmen Souza is cachupa, which is the Cape Verdean traditional dish. This is something that I enjoy. Of course, saudade is a music that links also all the Portuguese-speaking people, yes, because it comes from Cabo Verde. Yes. The way we express our feelings of separation, of distance, of being sad, of being, and many other circumstances.
And just out of the names that you have mentioned some of the definitely, I would say historic, some of the great names of Cape Verdean music, of course.
Ask my apologies for those that I didn't name, but yes, I'm a lover of Tito Paris. I have all his CDs and I listen, I dance with those CDs with my wife.
Yes, yes.
Which is from Cuban origin.
And since you mentioned her, let's talk a little bit about that on a personal basis. Has it been challenging? Is it great? What would you advise them?
Well, definitely for me it's a good thing.
Okay.
And I am someone who is an adept of diversity, cultural, linguistic diversity. Some people wrongly say diversity is bad. I say diversity is good. It brings the world to be better. It's why we have to show tolerance regarding the different origin, faith, and the diversity of people worldwide. And we have a good relations between Cabo Verde and Cuba. Cuba assisted Cape Verde sending doctors. As a matter of fact, my wife is a medical doctor that I retain in Cape Verde, being my wife. And you don't have much difference. Cape Verde, by this melting of culture, is quite similar to many Caribbean countries. We are not Caribbeans. Definitely Cabo Verde is an African country, member of African Union and ECOWAS. Geopolitically speaking, that's what you are. Culturally, we joined the CPLP because we share these common assets of history, language, and of course culture. But we have a lot of similarities between Cabo Verde and Caribbean. Is why I welcome my wife to my life.
and that is great. So let's watch Laura as we go into this break.